Alright, welcome back to Economics YouTube channel. My name is, I think I didn't mention my name in the other class. My name is Godwin Oluwole. Okay, Godwin being my name, Oluwole being my surname. Alright, so in today's class, we'll continue our discussion on plagiarism and referencing. Yeah, plagiarism and referencing. So, in case you are just seeing this video for the very first time, or you're just seeing me meeting me for the very first time, so this video is one of our series on research writing, on a course titled research writing. So first I want you guys to understand that your university or your institution might have its own referencing style, and you have to find that out and ensure that your referencing or your references in your research work, be it an assignment, a term paper, a project, must be in accordance with your institution's style of referencing. But here in this particular video, I'll be making reference to the APA referencing style, so which is, I think some call it APA, alright, and I think the correct pronunciation might be APA, just APA, since it is an acronym of American Psychological Association. Okay, so that's their referencing style, and a lot of schools make use of this referencing style. But like I mentioned earlier, for example, I finished from the University of Ibadan, Nigeria. University of Ibadan has its own referencing style, right? So which is unique in its own way. So you have to figure out what referencing style your school uses. And referencing styles are unique for journals, they are unique for books, they are unique for websites, blogs and what have you. But one thing I should make you understand in this class is that in whatever write-up that you are doing, ensure that academic sources are more. And what I mean is, for example, let's say you are conducting a research, ensure that you are citing more journals than websites, sources. Lecturers, a lot of efforts go into the journals, the publications that researchers do. Okay, so and your lecturer, your supervisor might just get angry, maybe out of proportion, if he or she asks you where you got a particular information from, and say from the internet. Oh God, it's just you might not enjoy the reaction afterwards. So I'm not saying you shouldn't consult the internet. We need the internet for a lot of things, even the journals you are getting that right from the internet. Okay, but there's just this what they call this agreement, okay, in academia, that whatever is in a journal, especially a peer-reviewed journal, is authentic. Okay, it is authentic. So they want those kind of authentic sources. So let's say you're writing, and you at the end of the day you had like maybe around 20 references. In fact, you may not know until you are through with your research. So make sure that you have something like maybe 70 to 80% journals, books, right, than website source. I think I mentioned this in one of the videos in this particular course, but I don't remember. So if I've not mentioned it before, or I thought I mentioned it in my mind, I'm saying it out right now. Okay, so please ensure that you have more of authentic academic academic sources. Okay, so less of blogs. In fact, they don't even want to see blogs. They don't want to see Wikipedia, because it's more or less like anyone can put something on Wikipedia and edit it, unverified information that are not authentic, something like that. So let me just say that right now. All right. So when you're referencing, there are different ways you reference single authors. Now I think we did that in the first video on plagiarism and referencing. So we're looking at our in-text reference for single authors. When you have just one author, how do you do it at the beginning, which is already here according to Paul 2010 or Paul 2010 here. Okay, and when you have two authors, so that is what we've not spoken about before. And then when you have three or more authors, and when you have authors from different sources, so how do you reference them? How do you do your in-text referencing, and then the referencing that you put in your list of references at the end of your work? All right, so let's say we have Victoria Bamidele here. So let's say Apostle Paul and Victoria Bamidele wrote a particular journal or a particular book, and in that book, that's where you have this paragraph or this statement. Okay, Timothy, you are still young, but let nobody think that they know better than you because of that. Be an example to people. All right. So someone else um, took what they wrote. Okay, took the idea. Daniel Abuye in the work he published in 2013. He took this idea, all right, and wrote about it, and then he has to, pay respect to where he took the information from. But now we have two authors, not no longer a single author. So how will Daniel Abuye reference that? So remember I said that the surname is one that comes after. When you have two names, the surname comes after. Okay, it might be in different form, right? So if you have, let me say Bamidele were in front, but it's in capital letters all through, and Victoria is happens to be after. That's even the way I like writing my own name. Okay, so that means the one in capital letter all through is the surname. Okay, and they want you to pay reference, they want you to pay attention to that. That's why it's written in block letters and capital letters. Okay, so how do you do that? Here, ordinarily, this is the surname for Apostle Paul, and this is the surname for Victoria Bamidele. So what I'm just gonna do in this place would be according to Paul, and so to be according to Paul and Bamidele, according to Paul and Bamidele 2010, right? Then comma, don't feel intimidated, whatever. Okay, according to Paul and Bamidele 2010. So you are just adding the second person's surname. So that's that about that. So here, where Bukola published a work in 2014 but made use of this central idea. So how will she reference the two of them? So here is going to be Paul ampersand, that ampersand sign, Paul and Bami. Okay, let me erase this so I'll be able to write it properly. So what she's going to put here at the end of the day will be Paul and Bamidele, then comma 2010. Okay, so that's about when you have two authors. Now when you have three authors, when you have three or more authors, I think from one of my readings I figure that it's even when you have four authors. But whatever it is, when you have three or more authors, how do you reference them? So let's say after you have Apostle Paul, Victoria Bamidele, then you have okay, there's someone else. Okay, let's say you have Khadija Deborah. Okay, then there's another person. Okay, Deborah Khadija. Okay, so three people wrote this journal, or three people wrote the book where you took this idea from. So how are you going to reference them? So what's the first person? First person is Paul. So according to Paul, according to Paul et al. Okay, so Paul et al. So when you see et al, et, then al, so that simply means that there are other people after Paul that wrote this thing. Okay, so according to Paul et al. 2010, so that's telling us that there is, in addition to Paul, there are at least two other people that wrote that where the original idea, where the idea originated, from. So the same thing. So in this place, according to Paul et al. Okay, full stop. In this place, you need to have a comma before the year. Right. So according to Paul et al. So the all has a full stop, then you put a comma, and then the year. You're not supposed to space it like this, so just write it normally. 2010. So that's how you reference, three or more people. Now, someone told me while I was making this recording that when you have more than three people in a particular research work, before you make use of the et al, it's better that you write, the surnames of everyone involved. All right. So the first time. All right, so after that first time, every other place where you are making reference to that particular work, you then can use et al. Okay, so let's say, so the first one should be according to Paul, Bamidele, and Deborah. Okay, or according to Paul and Bamidele and Deborah, 2010. Okay, comma, um, don't feel intimidated, whatever. So since you've used it once, if you are using it again, okay, if you are making reference to this work, it may not be, of course, it shouldn't be this idea again. All right, so if there is something else in their book or in their work or in their research or in their study that you want to make use of, all right, so you can then say according to Paul et al. Right, so initially you've mentioned the surnames of everyone involved, in as much as there are no more than 3 or 4. Okay, and whenever you need to make reference to that body of work again, just use Paul et al. Alright, I've not even tried that style before in my own writings, but it's good I make so we learn every day, right? Alright, next one is authors from different sources. So you have authors from different sources. So here, this is the original person, Apostle Paul, Victoria Bamidele, and Deborah Kalijo, right? Then that was the original where the idea originated from. Then you have Daniel Abioye that wrote something similar to that in his own body of work in 2013. Then there is Bukola Oke in 2014 that wrote something that also made use of that idea, or that wrote something similar to that particular idea. So you want to do, is it cross-reference that you call it now? Okay, so you want to synthesize these references. You want to write something and then make reference to different body of work that have mentioned that thing before. Sometimes you need to do that for authenticity. Maybe you have a data set that's kind of controversial. I want to show that okay, some people have used it before. Now, for example, there was this work I wrote for somebody that I was, let me say, more as like I wrote it, maybe I was collaborating. I wrote it, let me just say, I wrote for somebody. It was on research methodology of the person. So we had to use the theory we were going to use for the model was export demand theory, I think, and we wanted to talk about imports too in that research work. So don't stress yourself. By the time we went to chapter 4, okay, I will explain how you write your models and how you develop them from theory and so on and so forth. You don't just write models anyhow. Okay, so that was the original theory, and from the theory we developed an export demand model. But then we needed to write something on imports. So what was I doing? So it has to be like, okay, I was going through different journals, until I saw a particular journal that used the theory to model for imports. Okay, so that's kind of, how do you use exports to model for imports? It's kind of controversial, but I had to use it anyway. Okay, so I eventually came across 2 journals that use the export demand model, tweaked it, and use it to model for import. So if I just go on in my writing and just say the export demand model is this, and from there we can infer that import demand model can be written like this and something like that. So like what am I doing? So it's just like using the theory of demand to model for supply. What am I doing? On what basis am I doing that? So I needed to go and check, that was why I was going through journals. Okay, what are we going to do? We need to model for import, and it has to be now a theory. Okay, would I be using 2 or more theories in the same research or something like that? I don't know if something like that happens, but we learn every day. From what I know right now, as at this particular period, you use the single theory you've chosen in your project. You've chosen in your project is the theory they have to use, till the end of the project. All right. So I came across Suleimani. I think I remember because the work was, somehow I still remember the name. It's been a while. Then there was this other person. So in situation like that, that's controversial, right? But you want to do a cross-reference. I don't know if that is what it's called. You want to show that okay, I'm not the first person that is doing something like this. Okay, some people have done this too before, and that's my justification. So this person did it, this person did, this person did it, or this researcher, or this, it was like that in this study. So I am, following their footsteps. Okay, so you kind of reference, all of those sources, and that's what we are going to try to do here. Okay, so let's say this is the idea that I want to talk about. So and I want to reference, all these people. I want to reference the first paper, I want to reference the second paper that spoke about it, and I want to reference the third paper. Okay, Bukola Oke's publication in 2014. I talked about. So how am I going to do that? I'll write that soon. All right, I already have two examples on the board for you to understand what I'm talking about very well. In the two examples, you would figure that I have, I still maintained the idea, but I have expressed myself in different ways. Now, at the end of the day, you figure that I have expressed the same idea in like 5 to 6 ways. Okay, the same thing. All right. So number one, John Timothy is tasked with the responsibility of being an example to other people, as well as standing firm against the undue influence of people other than his. Okay, is it the same thing with what we've been talking about? Is it similar to the original idea? Of course. Okay, the original idea is letting us know that Timothy is still young, so that means he's younger relative to the people around him. But let nobody think that they know better than you. If people think that they know better than you, then they might be causing undue influence. Okay, as a result of that, alright, and be an example to the people. So young Timothy is tasked with the responsibility of being an example to other people, right? As well as standing firm. So that was why the warning was there, that you are young, but let nobody think that they know better than you. Okay, as a result of that reason. Okay, so it's tasked with the responsibility of being an example to other people, as well as standing firm against the undue influence of people older than he is. Simple. Now, the reference list. So because I'm trying to like cross-reference or mention that quite a number of studies have said this thing, or quite a number of books have said this thing. So I would arrange them alphabetically. Okay, they repeat alphabetically. So we have I think I had Abioye somewhere. Daniel Abioye. So Abioye 2013. So Abioye, 2013. Then I put a semicolon after 2013. Semicolon. Then the next person. Okay. After A, you have O. Okay, 2014. Okay, 2014. I put another semicolon. Then Paul et al. Right? Paul et al. Okay, full stop. There's a full stop after all. Then comma before the year. So Paul et al. 2010. Basic, right? So I've done an end of the text referencing, and I've rephrased the idea while still maintaining, what the idea is originally. Now the second one, number two, studies. Okay, studies such as Paul et al. Now when you do something like this, the argument does not matter, like this type. So it doesn't matter. So you don't have to do maybe alphabetically or something like that. No. Studies such as Paul et al. 2010, okay, Abioye 2013, and Okay 2014. Now, see, I rephrase it here. Encourage Timothy to take his stand irrespective. Can you see? Encourage Timothy to take his stand irrespective of his young age, and as well set an example for others to follow. Can you see? Okay, so it's an idea. Express it in different ways. So now I think I've come to the end of whatever it is I want to talk about in text referencing. So how do you reference in your reference list? When you're done in your reference list, how do you reference? You've taken something from a journal. So in this particular video, I'm going to give you an example of how to reference journals. Okay, so your assignment would be APA style. Okay, the APA style. So your assignment would be to do APA style referencing style for books. Okay, number one, for books and articles and newspapers. Okay, books, articles and newspapers. So we are going to write maybe APA. I'm going to write me examples. Let me say 2 examples each. Yeah, for me to know if you know what you're doing. 2 examples each of APA referencing style for books. Okay, just go online and check for books, for newspapers, and for articles on websites. That's what I mean. Okay, or how to reference website. So you have books, articles, and newspapers. So look for the APA referencing style. Now, you seeing this video, you're likely gonna be a Nigerian, but if you're not a Nigerian and there's somebody maybe in the UK or something like that, well, what you have to do is to go and check up your Harvard referencing style. That's if your school is using that, but I think quite a number of UK schools are using the Harvard referencing style, so it's going to be slightly different from the APA referencing style. And if your school, like I mentioned at the beginning of this class, has its own unique referencing style, so you need to go and find out. So if you don't know how to do that, just look for one or two books published by anyone in your school, anyone reputable in your school. Maybe your textbooks might be published by, maybe it was written by one of your lecturers or some of your lecturers. So check how they reference, how they cited. So something like the citation, how they cited, the materials they consulted in putting up the textbook together. So just check the reference list at the back of the book and see. So that's likely the referencing style of your school. Okay, so now let's do the referencing at the end of your homework. Okay, yeah, in the final part of this class, so let's look at how we're going to reference after the entire body of work is over, like in your final list of references. Now I'm going to be writing 3 examples. So we have 3 authors from a particular journal. The name of the journal is Journal of Development. You have the volume right in front of it. Then whatever I have in the bracket is issue, or whatever I have in the parentheses is issue. And you're going to be having the page number. You will see it in your journal, right? It's not difficult. Sometimes it's just at the top of each page. You can easily copy, the journal name, or maybe the top of the first page. Okay, the first thing, Journal of Development. Then you see the volume, the issue beside it. Okay, so yeah, cool. Yeah, good. So first is a journal with one author. So Godwin Oluwole. Godwin Oluwole is the author of that journal, and the topic happens to be effect of inflation on Nigeria's economic growth. Now this is the journal. Then you have the DOI, which is called Digital Object Identifier. Okay, I think I mentioned that in finding, I think was it the first video or something like that. So where I was talking about how to find journals that you are normally expected to pay for, so how to bypass that, something like that. So how do I reference this work? Let's assume that it was only Godwin Oluwole that wrote it, and this was the title of the study. Alright, so you have Oluwole, the surname, comma G, okay, which is the first letter in Godwin, Oluwole, comma, a capital letter G, and the full stop in front of it to show that you've shortened a full name. Okay, G full stop, then into bracket 2018, the year of publication. You are going to sit inside the journal. You don't have to crack your brain or something like that, or rack your brain rather. You don't have to rack your brain, something like that. So you close the bracket, then you full stop after the date of publication. You will see it in your journal. Then the title, of course, title is one of the boldest things you're going to see on the first page. Then the authors will be written underneath. Okay, effect of inflation on Nigeria's economic growth. So that's the title. You put a full stop. Alright, after the title, then what journal? The journal is in italics. Okay, like I was trying to make it slanted, just the way you have normal italics. So, Journal of Development. Okay, you will see the journal name, or the journal. Yeah, that should be journal name. Journal of Development, comma. Then this is volume 5, issue 2. Yeah, should be issue, comma. Then 3 to 4 means page 3 to 4. So once you copied the page that was on page 3 to 4, then the DOI, you are going to see DOI inside the journal as well. I'm not sure if it's all journals that have DOI or not. I'm not sure, but you should be able to see the DOI. It should be on the first page. Okay, it might be tiny on the first page, maybe under the name, close to where the abstract is, or something like that, or maybe at the top of the page. It depends on the journal that you're looking at. It could be at the top of the page towards the left hand side, like the top left corner of the page of the journal. So you might see maybe something like that. But you should be able to see it if the document has the digital object identifier link, or maybe just that. Okay, so that's for Godwin Oluwole only. Now let's assume that Godwin Oluwole and Isaac Temidayo co-wrote this journal. Okay, so how will you reference that? The first name, Godwin Oluwole, is the first name, so you start with surname Oluwole G, also written here, then the ampersand, alright, before Temidayo I. Timidayo is the surname, then I for Isaac. Then you put a full stop in front of that, 2018, and you repeat everything that you've done here. Alright, so what if Godwin Oluwole Isaac Timidayo and Sarah Joanne Omaruke wrote this particular paper? So how do you reference it? So the same thing, Oluwole G full stop comma, because it has to mention Timidayo comma I A for Isaac, a full stop comma, then okay, should this be there? Yeah, the ampersand for Omaruke comma S full stop J full stop, because you have Sarah Johan. So S full stop J full stop in 2018 before you continue to whatever it is that you've written. If there is any mistake, you can tell us in the comment section. And like I said, we all learn every day. And the time that this video was made, so the time that you are probably going to be watching this video, things may have been different, maybe a little different. So would like to know your thoughts, in the comment section. And yeah, for those enrolled with us and with School of Economics, the assignments, I've said it earlier. So this is what you're gonna do. I've done for journals for 1, 2, 3 people. So you are supposed to replicate this for books, how to reference APA style, for books, for articles, and for newspapers. Alright, so thank you so much. God bless you. I am tired, right? I am tired. So see you in the next class, where we shall be talking about, we shall be going to the chapters of your project. So in our next class, we'll be talking about chapter 1. So take it one after the other. Thank you so much.